This is another Disney podcast production.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Plan for the Magic. I'm so glad you're here. I am Audrey. Co-host Dave is back there. You are here for episode 6. Yes. Plan for the Magic is a podcast where we hope to offer some insights and some fun into your vacation planning for the magical place of Walt Disney World.
Yes.
And today we're going to do a super cool episode. I'm really excited about it. We're going to do a deep dive into some of our favorite places to stay. But before we get to that,
I know, like I was thinking about how are we going to share this news?
Okay.
Like we have been planning for the magic.
We have. Yeah. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to go first and then you. Okay. So I don't know, 6 months or more ago, enduring the year that has been COVID, we've been working from home, kids have been doing school from home, all of that. I was like, when we get to the end of the school year, we've got to mark this with some kind of celebration. So we went back and forth. What are we going to do? And of course, we landed at, could we take another like Walt Disney World vacation? Because we have our regular legit Disney World vacation this fall, which we have talked about. And there will be lots of updates on that. And the reason I haven't been able to bring it up is because we are surprising our kids. They do not know. We are taking them to Walt Disney World. We're actually driving for the first time since it's the summer. We will have time to drive. But the caveat here is we are not going to any of the parks. I know. So the whole idea for us, it's funny, Dave, because you've talked about this in other episodes about being in a resort town and having access to all of these pools and water parks. We don't have that up here in the mountains. And so we were thinking like we should go to a place like that. And as we were rattling off, like we could go here, or we could go there, it was also, we just kept saying, or we could just go to Walt Disney World and swim in the resort pools and go to Blizzard Beach. And we were like,
so you are going to go. That counts as a park.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Come on. Yeah.
We're going to hit up Blizzard Beach, but
never been there.
I know. Well, I have been to, oh my gosh, the other one.
Typhoon?
Yes. Typhoon Lagoon. I think I mentioned that before when we stayed at the Polynesian and the pool was under renovation.
Oh, that's right.
They sent us to Typhoon. Yes. In the middle of January.
Never
this
mind.
might be a little more entertaining because it will be super hot. So anyway, I will, yes.
So you're going in the summer.
We are going to go this summer.
Bring your sunscreen, please, young lady.
Okay. So I need all the summer, we just had that chit chat about, months of the year to go, so I need to go back and listen. What did we say? Our person talks about going in the summer.
It's hot. But plan accordingly. You gave all the good advice. You just have to put it into practice.
You just have to plan. Okay. And what is your news?
I'm carrying your bags. I'm chauffeuring you to your resort.
No, you're not invited on our trip. I'm sorry.
Oh, well. You're not going to the park, so I wouldn't want to go.
Yeah. Well, there you go. See?
Well, we haven't been honest with our listeners and viewers either. We have been, because we both have those trips planned in the fall.
Yes.
And we weren't going back. And then Kim was like, we have been on COVID lockdown for what feels like 17 years.
Amen.
She's like, I want to, she was like, you have so much vacation time at work. I want to go on a real vacation. I said, yes, ma'am. And so we started looking. I started thinking, okay, well, we're going to the Caribbean. But then I was like, like the kids don't have passports yet. And I was like, oh, let's not do it. And then I was like, Virgin Islands, you don't have a passport. Yeah. And then I was like, well, no, that's like a lot of travel. And then you still got to get we haven't taken our kids on long, travel trips. So I was like, no. And then I was like, okay. I said, well, we live at the beach, but our kids have never seen beautiful water. And so that's why I was thinking the Caribbean. Then I was like, okay, we can go to the Keys. Then we started looking and we found some great deals, found some places we would be interested in going, but then started asking the question, is the Keys have really a lot of things for kids?
Right.
Probably not. And then we were thinking, okay, let's go to Tampa, because Tampa, you got Clearwater.
Yeah.
And so it's still pretty-ish, but then I was like, well, we were really late in the game planning. And so there wasn't a lot of result. Like, hey, guess what? Everyone else had the same idea too. So long story short, this is good. This is really sad. We ended up in Orlando. But I promise you, until literally 48 hours ago, we were not going to Disney, because again, I'm the only one in my family that has an annual pass.
Yeah.
And so for our family to go for 2 days, it was over $1,000.
Yeah.
And that's not paying for me because I already have a pass. And so we were like, absolutely not.
That 1 or 2 day, man, that will
it's brutal. And, you know, because it's fluctuating, because when you go to the site, it's like tickets start at $109.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe February 7th.
Right. On Thursday.
Yes, from 4 to 10. No. And so we get it. We're in the middle of summer, but then we started thinking how great it would be to have, like, for us each to have like days with just the kids on our own.
Oh yeah. And one-on-one.
So anyway, let me back up because I
best.
didn't say. So we're staying at Margaritaville. So that's why I kind of briefly mentioned it last week.
That's right.
And so we're not staying in the hotel. They actually have cottages that sleep anywhere from like 4 to 16. So we rented a 2-bedroom cottage for 6 nights.
Oh my gosh,
and are going to stay at Margaritaville Resort, which, yes, if you look at it on a map, is a stone's throw from the parking lot of Animal Kingdom. But again, I had no intention of going to Disney World. And then when we talked literally 48 hours ago, and I was like, what if I took 1 kid on Saturday?
Yep.
And 1 kid on Sunday. That way we're only having to pay for 2 people.
Right.
Kids
2
prices
single
to
day.
go
Yeah.
And we're doing the hopper so we can hop around.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be so
we're doing
fun.
it. So we'll spend 2 days. So I'll have a little bit of a trip report. And so basically in a couple of episodes, when we actually get there and get back, we'll each do an episode on our trip report. So randomly, we're both going to Disney in the summer.
I know. Yeah. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to spill the beans, but I know the boys have been so excited about the podcast. I couldn't talk about it.
Yes.
Like,
they didn't want to say it. And
they want to hear these episodes when they drop. And so we wanted to make sure we had time.
That
to
is fair.
Them. So.
Okay. So deep dive this week. So we grazed over them. I feel like I went a little too deep last week, but we grazed over them. And so we're going to dive into our like favorite, her favorite on property, my favorite off property.
Yep.
And so I mentioned my 4 with a bonus of Margaritaville.
You get us started, man.
Okay, I'm going to go quick. Okay, and so
something.
what we decided to do, it's going to be a little bit more challenging for Audrey, but what we decided to do, at least for mine, is I was going to pick smack dab in the middle of summer. So I picked the random week, the week after July 4th. So like get away from all that holiday. And so literally the full week following the July 4th holiday, I looked at all of the places that I have stayed or typically like to stay. And you're going to see these vary very much for me. Sometimes it's like, if it's a solo trip and I don't have anybody else with me, I'm staying at a just normal hotel. Because sleep, shower, shave, cheap, clean, close. Like that's my motto when I'm trying to go a lot. Now we're obviously not doing that with Margaritaville because we want to stay a long time.
Yeah, and that's like a vacation.
Can I say that all of the cottages have the giant like $500 margarita maker in the room? So we're so pumped. There's a Publix right around the corner. We're like, yes. But it'll be cool. Like the kids will get like virgin daiquiris. It'll be fun to make that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
I already told my wife, I said, I bet you before we leave that week, I'm going to end up ordering one of these on Amazon and I'll be waiting at home for
that's
so awesome. I'm going to be in trouble. Okay. All right. So anywhere from like, I'm just going to stay at a hotel room to where I'm bringing somebody else, or maybe we're going with like extended family. Like my parents have gone with me a few times. And so, or as a family, how we would do it. We haven't done it lately, but how we would do it. Because our family doesn't gel well. I did not mean that for that to rhyme. In a like everybody sleeps in the same room in 2 beds. Yeah. It's hard for our littlest to like, he's too excited. Like he's like, he wants to hop out of the bed and go mess with dad and sis. Right. So he's a mama's boy. I got daddy's girl. Anyway. So we always at least need a 1-bedroom. And so that's why this is working out great. Like sis and I have a room, mom and actually what we're going to do, the king Like we're just going to sandwich him in the middle because it's a giant king bed. He's little.
Oh, yeah.
And then Makai will get her own room because she's a princess. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Enough chit chat. So let's go at the cheapie. So again, I'm looking at the dates. This is July 7th of 2021 through July 17. I mean, July 17th. So that's 6 nights. And I'm looking at this. I'm not looking at just me. Now, I don't know that this ever makes a difference, but I'm doing 2 adults and 2 children under the age of 17. So that's how we're doing it. Okay. Yep. So what's important to know about this is, again, where this property is. And so this property is located, you're driving down World Drive. Okay. Then there's this, if you veer left, you're going to I-4 and you're headed to the airport. If you veer right, you're getting on, I always murder this road. It's West Orlo Bronson Boulevard. Okay. Something like that. Orlo Bronson. Yep. It may be 192, which probably would have been smarter to say. But I always get 192 and 492 confused. I go there a lot, but not that. Anyway, so you go off and literally the first stoplight you can get to, you have to do a U-turn, and there's the Ramada Inn. So it is
Ramada.
Unbelievably. I mean, I can't even call it one exit off of property. It's the exit you get off, and then you do a U-turn at the first light.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is you leave the hotel and it's a half a mile down the road that you do the big on ramp to World Drive. I mean, so it is fairly close. So I'm good. Now this is it has a big tower up front with its multi-level, but then on the sides, on the wings of it, it's like kind of your old cheapy motel. Yeah. So those are those are cheaper.
Yeah.
And they're a little like, I don't think they're as quiet. I haven't stayed in there, but Matthew, who's on ADP with us, he stayed in there. He was like, it wasn't bad. Like to me, but I'm thinking like, I want to go into the tower where it's a little bit like you're more spread out. It's built with concrete in between everything. It's not just, you get my vibe. So I'm looking at that. All right. So deluxe room, 2 queen beds, non-smoking in the tower in the middle of July in Orlando, $82 a night for a grand total of 6 nights, $585.
Wow.
And this is, I will give it to you. Let me get the address. Okay. So why do we stay? Well, let's talk about why I stay here. Well, one of them is pretty obvious. $82 a night in the middle of summer. But I've stayed there multiple times, never had one issue, never had a noise issue, even in the middle of summer. Now you're going to get, it's just going to happen. If you get a rowdy room next to you, I don't care how great your hotel room walls are, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the summer, just be prepared for that.
Sure.
But it's the close proximity. It's clean. It's extremely affordable. Yeah. If, because again, we just talked about our family just was going to get 2-day hoppers for 3 people, and 2 of them were kids, and it was over $1,000.
Right.
So we get it. This is an expensive vacation. We understand. And so not my location, Walt Disney World. So here we go. Route. That is a whopping 9 minutes from Magic Kingdom. So that's how close it is. Okay.
There are on-property resorts that aren't 9 minutes to Magic Kingdom.
Okay. The second one I want to do is still a hotel, but this is the one that I dropped last week. That's really kind of the big secret.
Oh, yes, right.
Totally flubbed it. It was Flamingo Crossing, but I was right. This is this massive new area that's built, and I'm not kidding when I'm telling you it's right off of property. Like it's 60 seconds you drive underneath the sign once you turn left at the light. It's that. Well, again, I got to stay here in February. It's a gorgeous resort, has a massive pool, and again, awesome. I'm picking the 11th through the 17th. Same thing, 6 nights, 2 kids, 2 adults. And let's just look at a normal room. A studio with 2 queen beds, non-smoking.
Yep.
Says it sleeps 6 people, which is true. So it has 2 queen beds and it has a fold out. So technically you can do 6. Yeah. Well, and there's a curtain thing to kind of separate the area.
Oh, nice.
$136 a night.
Wow.
Now, again, remember, this is a good neighbor hotel. Right now, I don't want to dive into the good neighbor perks. Yeah. But but in normal times,
when there are perks, we'll come back to that.
In normal times, the biggest perk is
yeah.
fast passes 60
and
days
dining.
out.
Yeah.
And dining. Those are the two biggest perks. Now, that's not all happening right now, but again, just think this is going to be like all coming back. This is our hope and prayer.
And just
now,
a quick reminder that those Good Neighbor hotels are off-property hotels that have a relationship with Walt Disney World that allows those on property. Some of those on property.
Like I could be wrong, but I feel like this is the first resort that is not in the Disney Springs area that's a Good Neighbor hotel.
Oh, interesting.
I think so.
That's worth looking to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Almost all of them have been traditionally in. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Now they do also have a suite. So they do have a 1-bedroom suite. And so that is a whopping $20 more a night.
Oh my gosh.
$154 a night.
So space, location, price. This place has a pool. So you have some of that.
Yeah, and it's not like they have like it's more than just like a pool. There's like a kid area with like water shooting up out of it. It's really and it's new. Like so it's still like
it feels
it opened in 2021. I'll put it to you that way. Yeah. Super new. Okay, the next one. This is the furthest from property.
Okay.
I've only stayed here once when I went for a race. I loved it for a Run Disney. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
The only challenge was how far it was.
It was.
And
how did you do? Do you remember how you did transportation did you have a car?
Yeah, I rented a car.
Did you rent it? Okay.
Yeah. Because I was nervous about, I'm not staying on
race.
Property. And you have to get there so early.
Yeah.
And I didn't I couldn't take a bus at 3 a.m. I had to drive there. Totally. And so I just was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But again, I'm saying
it's worth putting a pin in this. Like, I don't know that rental car expenses are going to always be what they are now.
Gosh,
I think that's going to level out. So
most of the time,
I think it's worth putting a pin in a property.
You're 100% correct. Most of the time when we go, it's like $150 for the 4 days that we're there.
Totally.
That's typically what it is. It's just insane because just like everybody else, the rental car business got hammered during COVID.
Yes. And I read somewhere that I think they offloaded a third.
Yeah.
Like industry wide.
We looked hard. Vehicles. I was looking at cars to buy.
Yeah. So the demand is really high right now. That'll level off for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody's just taking advantage.
And what are their amenities?
Oh, I'll talk about that, but it's a whopping. This one is the farthest one away. It's 15 minutes to get to Magic Kingdom.
Gosh.
Not Animal Kingdom, just Magic Kingdom. Okay, so then again, this I wish I could show you. I will put all this in the show notes so you can look them up.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a big so it's Polynesian theme. This is the Leaky Tiki. It's Polynesian theme. So the pool is super fun. There's like a big exploding volcano in the middle of the pool that's just water. And then they have they have at least 3 slides that I've seen.
Oh my gosh.
And so let's go to where you could like be ridiculous. Okay. Well, I'll give you 6 people. Okay. So 6 people. For reference, I'm not going to go look, but I'm going to guess that Pop in the middle of the summer. I'm just going to guess, Audrey, I don't know if you can, but if you want to look up, I'm going to guess it's at least $212 and it's probably not available. That's what I'm going to start there. I'm going to guess it's at least $212 a night. That's just going to, the last time
I'm totally guessing you're right on the not available.
Yeah. It's going to be Ixnay on the available A. That's not a real word. Okay. So a 2-bedroom condo at Leaky Tiki, which will sleep 6, is $222 a night.
Wow.
15 minutes off property, huge pool, separate bedrooms.
That's awesome.
I mean, could you, I want to know what a 2-bedroom place, because again, you can only get those with the deluxe DVC resorts, right?
Yep.
I want to know what I want to know what one of those costs for one night. It's got to be at least $600 or $700. Probably more.
Probably for a 2-bedroom. Oh yeah. It's more than that. Right. I'm sure. Yeah.
So again, this is advantage, like off property savings, great pool.
Yeah.
Disadvantages, off property.
Yeah.
Right. And so travel, like again, all of these places have some type of shuttle that gets you there. If you're not renting a car, I would recommend Uber. I know it'll be about the cost of a car, but it's just worth it to not
Yeah.
I mean, or it's shuttle there in the morning and then Uber back whenever you're done for the day. Like that would be my tip. But I mean, you can get all the way up to a 3-bedroom condo that sleeps 10 for $316 a night.
Goodness.
I mean, so if you're going with like a big party and you need space, I mean, I think of Matthew who's on ADP. I mean, when they go, it's like he has 2 sisters, 2 twin brothers, him, and then the 2 sisters are married. And so like if they all go and stay together, they need the whole space.
Yeah.
So that's Leaky Tiki. Now this is not as nice as the next one I'm going to say, but it's great. It's a resort feel. I mean, it's themed really well. Awesome. And it's 15 minutes to Magic Kingdom.
Oh my gosh. So cool.
Last one I got is probably my favorite like resort. And just like Leaky Tiki, this is also a timeshare one. And this is Mystic Dunes. This again is stupid close to property.
Oh my gosh.
So I got to, like I mentioned last episode, I got to stay there with Matthew when he went.
That's right.
I flew in for the weekend and he had a place. So like I've already said multiple times how giant it is.
Yeah.
And we haven't stayed in the bigger one, like the 3-bedroom one. Magic Kingdom Park. Okay, here we go. Route. Why does that say 20 minutes? That's a false.
Is it?
It's a mile down the road from the Ramada Inn. So this doesn't make any sense.
Huh.
And another thing that's cool about this is behind that Ramada Inn that I didn't talk about, there's a Walmart. And then again, a mile down the road from this is a Walmart. So
right.
One cool thing about staying in these resorts, I would highly recommend cooking meals because you have a full kitchen in the timeshare places. You get a full kitchen and
getting
like
groceries there is dining room.
So this says, well, I'll just do it this way. 9.6 miles.
Oh my gosh.
To Magic Kingdom, not to Disney property.
Right.
The Magic
Which
Kingdom.
is all the way. Yeah.
Right. So I'm purposely picking the furthest point away on Disney property.
Right.
To give you a perspective of just how. So remember my 3 C's. One of them is close.
Yeah.
Close matters to me. I don't want to stay 25 minutes away where I have to get on I-4. That's another. None of these resorts you have to get on I-4. I don't want to touch I-4 unless I'm coming or going to the airport.
Yeah.
Other than I-4 it should be a cuss word in Florida. That road is horrific. I mean, we're not really diving into
that's really funny.
Like pros and cons because we did that. But resort so the only one of these that I think had food, like had a restaurant, was the Leaky Tiki.
Okay.
That was the only one that I'm not going to bash it, but I mean, it's just you've got so many options in Florida. I wouldn't eat at this little restaurant.
I mean, that's another thing too, is that if you are, assuming you're going to have a vehicle, if you're off property, that there are other off property dining. So it's not just only Disney on property or just what's at your resort. You can get to some other place. So.
But that's true. I mean, that's the challenge. If you're I could be wrong, but I would imagine most people that are going and staying off property are thinking through transportation, meaning
I think that's
they're
right.
I would say they're driving there or renting a car. I know that's not true for everybody because some people they're going there just to go to parks. And so they're going to rely on the shuttles, no matter if they're going to Disney or Universal. It doesn't matter. They'll just rely on that. And some people are okay with that. And again, if you're going to know that you're going to utilize Uber somewhat, great. But just think about that.
Totally.
Like if you're staying at one of these resorts where you have the opportunity to have a full kitchen and you can make meals, if you're not driving in, you have to think about, well, I've got to go get the food. But we should spend a whole episode talking about these great grocery services that also deliver to Disney properties, not just anywhere else. So you've got tons and tons of options.
Yeah. That's so true.
So that's my 4 big ones. And then of course I talked about Margaritaville. I'm not going to hear about that after the trip. I'll just wait to unpack that when we get back on whatever episode that we land on for doing this. So those are my favorite off properties, but I do have a favor to ask, Audrey.
What?
When you talk about your favorites, I have stayed on quite a few different Disney properties. I would love to jump in if you'll let me.
Oh, please. No, I'd love to hear it. Yeah. Well, I was going back and forth about which ones I should talk about. And It's funny that you had me check to see if there are Pop Century rooms. I actually just realized that literally neither of these two properties are available to book right now. One is under refurbishment, which is the Polynesian, and oh yes, I have all the feels about the Polynesian. And the second one is Port Orleans French Quarter, which is still not, they have not reopened it since COVID.
Right.
I'm
really
crossing my feelings crossing my fingers that that's going to happen soon.
You can cross your feelings. That makes sense too. Like you do love some poly. Now, I think it is fair to admit Polynesian is actually open. It's just been it's just been only for DVC.
Yes.
Now, so if you're renting DVC points for somebody, even if you're not an owner, you still can get in there if that's your jam. That's where you want to be. And have they given a date? I just know it's this summer. This
summer. Yeah, they haven't.
Well, that goes through the middle of September. So that's not really helpful.
You know what? I think maybe.
I feel like July is ringing a bell.
I feel like that's right too. Yeah. Maybe I put, I just looked to see if those same dates that you were looking at were available and they weren't. So I think maybe it's toward the end of July, if I'm not mistaken.
Fingers crossed. Either way, Ohana. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. Well, let me do a little bit about the Poly and then a little bit about Port Orleans French Quarter. So the Polynesian for me, I've already said that we started going to Walt Disney World when I was a little girl. And that was when there was the campgrounds, the Polynesian, the Contemporary, and the Magic Kingdom. That was your option. Yes. That was Walt Disney World. And we always stayed at the Polynesian. And then when my kids were teeny, we were able to return with them to the Polynesian. And then that's where we will be staying for our upcoming trip, it actually meant the world to me. I think I told you this, that because it's our first full DVC stay, we had some flexibility on where to stay. And so I took did I say this already? I took a bunch of sticky notes and wrote all of the DVC hotels and then and I told the boys to put them in.
Oh, you did.
Their favorite order. Yeah. And so I loved that they love the Polynesian too. So it is a deluxe or a deluxe DVC. They just pulled a couple of the buildings and refurbished them to be DVC rooms. The majority, in fact, the regular buildings, the DVC rooms are only, oh my gosh, what's the word? Studios. So it's just a queen size bed and the pull-out couch. And then they have these incredible bungalows that are 2-bedroom bungalows that are out on the water. Yeah, that's just amazing. I think one night in those is like literally all of our annual DVC points.
But I have a question. Like, as dope as those are, they're literally like, you could swim to the ferry in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And so you would constantly hear that.
Oh yes. The horn. I know.
Just throw that out there. That's a lot of money to listen to a foghorn for 16 hours in a day.
So, I mean, to me, there's a huge sentimental value about the Polynesian. You talk about location, it's hard to beat. It's on the monorail loop. From the Polynesian, you can see the fireworks at the Magic Kingdom. There is the old school electrical water pageant, which is back. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it. You can sit on the beach and watch those floats, I guess. Is that what boats?
I guess they're boats. I don't know. It's like a boat train.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And of course, right now, the monorail loop, the Polynesian is under significant refurbishment. And so actually the monorail stop is not available at the Polynesian right now. But once everything reopens, not only is there the monorail loop that gets you to the Magic Kingdom, but then you can take it to the transportation center and hop on the monorail over to Epcot. So you do have access to 2 parks without having to use a bus, which is pretty terrific. There are, of course, we didn't talk about this last week now that I think about it, but the resort activities. So it is a deluxe resort, has a major themed pool with slides, but at every single on-property resort, there are a huge number of activities that happen around the pool. Some of them you do have to pay for. Sometimes they have like Mickey tie-dye t-shirt making, which might be $20, but the majority of them, there's trivia, there's fun runs that you can register for and get little medals. There are pool games, all kinds of stuff. And when we get to our Halloween episode, whenever that will be, close to Halloween, I did learn when we were there a couple of years ago for Halloween that every single resort has their own Halloween party. So even if you're not doing Boo Bash this year or Not So Scary, I think I completely underestimated the amount of activity that were happening on property resorts, out at the pool, DJs, trick-or-treating. I mean, even just regular, pool activities. There's just a lot going on.
Yes.
And then of course the beach. I mean, there's the beach and the view and all that stuff, but really, can we talk about the food? I know you already said Ohana. Oh my gosh.
We can talk about Ohana the rest of the
Let's talk
episode.
about Ohana. Let's talk about Tonga toes. Let's talk about, oh my gosh. The food at the Polynesian is just to die for. There's tons of options. It's really, really yummy.
Well, you can get Tonga toes somewhere else. Is it Cape May? I can't remember. There's another place that you can get it.
Well, I know you can get it at, is it Captain Hook's and at Ohana? Wait, no, at, oh gosh. No, I can't remember.
You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, you look it up. There's 2 locations. What's the other table service restaurant that's not Ohana at the Polynesian? Just flew out of my head.
Kona Cafe.
Just say Kona. Yes, you can get it at Kona and you can get it at Captain Hook's. And then my other one I just thought I would talk about is French Quarter. You guys, French Quarter. I heart the French Quarter so much. So it's funny because I think I've mentioned this about the way our family rolls. We tend to dial things down. Like we're pretty laid back and not go. And so even when we were talking about our last trip where we should stay and my kids are athletes as the day is long. And so we talked about all-star sports and what we ultimately came to, and I think part of this also is a draw for us for the Polynesian is when we started looking at French Quarter, it is the smallest resort on property. It tends to feel more quiet. Like it's not super in your face themed. There's not, there is a pool with a slide and a kid splash area. Totally. And it's totally kid friendly. I mean, it's a Disney on property resort, but it's not, there's just, I don't know. There was something about it that felt relaxed. I mean, it is kind of that easy New Orleans kind of feel. And we loved, I was a little nervous because I was like, the boys, it's a little bit of a sophisticated vibe and our kids were not small, but it was just a couple of years ago. So what is that? 9 and something. But all of us completely fell in love with it. It is stunningly beautiful. There's tons of greenery. We loved being on the Sasagula River, the food, the beignets. We just talk about the beignets. But one thing that's it is, a resort that requires bus transportation to all 4. And well, if we're going to count water parks, like any of the parks, you have to use bus transportation. But because it is such a small resort, there's only one bus stop. One time when we were there, we had to go around Riverside. And so we had to go through all of their bus stops. But the vast majority of the time you get on your bus, you go to the resort. And, you mentioned the size of the value resorts. This is the opposite. As the smallest resort, the bus line for the French Quarter at the end of the night is like a quarter of what it is for some of the other resorts. And we also loved more than once. We actually, there's a boat you can take down to Disney Springs. I mentioned my boys were athletes. So one of them talks about how Disney Springs is his favorite because of the NBA experience. They loved that so much. Yeah. So that I think is my other favorite. I mean, there's a million of these. We could do a deep dive into every single resort. We certainly don't need to, or maybe we can, do several of these episodes where we talk about what our favorites are and why, but those are two that rank very, very highly. And the price points are quite different. I mean, the Polynesian is expensive. I mean, it's just expensive, and we're using DVC points, I think, for our upcoming trip, because we thought when we went with my family last time, like when they were teeny, that was going to be our last Polynesian stay. Cause it's prohibitively expensive. But for us, I have to say the French Quarter, which is much more manageable financially, we loved it. We loved it so much. So if you're into Poly, take a peek at the French Quarter, cause I think you might like it.
Now, what's funny is I didn't realize that when you talked about your two favorites is that those two places have my favorite food at Disney. Like it's like ohana and beignets. Yeah. Like, again, I think like Disney, you're in the business of making money. Find a way to get beignets into a theme park, please. Oh my gosh. Please. Like,
I am so jealous of New Orleans Square and Disneyland.
I know. Like, I had dinner there one night. It was beignets.
Oh my gosh. I totally get it.
And they're Mickey shaped. Oh.
I know. They are, and they're fresh. Oh my gosh, they're so good. I will say one caveat about French Quarter is it is the only moderate that does not have a table service restaurant. Yep. The food court there is actually terrific. There's a lot of really good food. We did walk up to Riverside along the river. I can't remember. We had a day that was just a relaxed morning. So we walked up there, and it was totally walkable up to the main dining area where there are a couple of, table service restaurants. But of course it's very close and easy to get to Disney Springs. So all of those restaurants I think are close by.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's those are my two kind of recs.
You know what? Like, I'm sitting here thinking, I haven't looked at your notes in a while. Do we have a Disney Springs episode planned? I mean, we got to, right? There's so many things.
Yes.
That can't be one episode. There's no way.
I know. Here, I'm making a note right as we speak.
I remember the first time we went, and it was downtown Disney.
Yes.
They had Paradise Island.
Yes. Have you done the balloon?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you mentioned that. Micaiah has asked.
Really?
We are doing that when we go this summer.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
She wants to go. It's like $20 or $25. We're going to do it.
All right. Well, let me know. I can't wait to hear if it's, I mean, it looks so fun. Okay, good.
Hopefully we can make like an experienced Disney episode out of it. We'll see.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Oh, I can't wait. Well, thanks for hanging out. And I'm excited about our trips. And later in the summer, we'll definitely do trip reports and hear how they go. And
it's gonna be great.
I'll fill you in on the surprise.
Yeah. I'll mention my, like my most favorite place that I've stayed on property, hands down, is Fort Wilderness.
Yeah.
And I think that was like kind of like you for sentimental. The very first time I went, remember in 1979, that's where we stayed. Yeah. And so when I went, I hadn't been there in like 40 something years, and to go back, and I mean, it was nothing about it was familiar. Yeah. But I was just like, to think that like I was here when I was 5 years old. Yes. Like, and that was just a surreal feeling. And then to experience that, like we did, was really cool. And they had just finished updating the, horse stables and stuff. Oh, wow. Yes. It was gorgeous. Yes. So pretty.
Yes.
So that I think was for sentimental reasons, but I would say like the nicest place that I've stayed is probably Old Key West with Matthew, because like he used DVC points one time, and Micaiah and I, or maybe it was Isaiah and I can't remember, but the three of us went and stayed, and that was really cool. But I think I just have this love for pop, but we haven't been there in years. Yeah, because we started going to All Star Music because it was just a little bit cheaper. Yeah, and
but you got the Skyliner at Pop. That's where we were. We had reservations. That's where we were going to stay when we go this fall. I think
that's so like the Skyliner changes so much, right? It changes so, because especially like we didn't really highlight this as much, but when it comes to transportation, like if you can stay at like anywhere, like at Boardwalk, right? One of the, like one of those three. Cause it's, I mean, it's not insane depending on what time of the year that you go to stay at the Swan or Dolphin. Right?
No.
I mean, you can take a boat
totally doable
right over there and then hop on the thing. And so what I love is like, you know, is when I think about where you're staying, right? So like where you're staying at the Poly, that used to be, you could get to the two of the resorts via transportation, which was great, right? You could do Magic Kingdom and Epcot, which is great. Well, now you can stay there, do Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. So you can go to almost all of the three. You can go to 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point.
Like that's what's
with the park hopper or an annual pass though. You gotta, that's a caveat. Yeah.
So that's been,
but even like addition. Now staying at Pop or Art of Animation, like you have access to the restaurants at the Riviera. You have, I mean, like without, you can just hop on the Skyliner and so it really, I think it's a game changer, especially for those two value resorts to have that kind of transportation access. That's a huge deal. Yeah.
And then my last one, I'll say, as Caribbean Beach will always be a favorite because that's the first resort that we stayed at on property. And it was just like, it was really, I don't know, it was just cool. And that was way before they had the Pirates, the Caribbean theming in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I like we saw it in its OG kind of Caribbean feel. But yeah, and that when we went in 07, that was just a special trip because it was the first time we went like as adults being kids, right? Yeah. I mean, so it was fun. So yeah, I mean, I've stayed at quite a few properties on it, but nothing on the monorail loop. That's a bucket list one day. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I mean.
Win the lottery.
That's going to require, or just require some discipline to have to like only go once, you know, that's the rub really. This is the crux of the tension of how we travel.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no,
this is good. This was great. I feel like we hit everything well.
I do too. Okay. Well, it was so good to hang out and we'll see you guys very soon.
Like, I guess let's say, hey, share with us your favorite places to stay. Yes. What is your, like, now I touched on 5. There's 867 million properties off of Walt Disney World Resort. We let us know these secret gems that you found that's super great, super affordable, or the amenities are just amazing. Like, you know, because most places you're gonna save money off of property, and so or if you want to spend equivalent money, you could maybe get much nicer facilities. So like I want to know, like, I mean, I remember I'm always those 3 C's, so I'm not looking for ooh la la, but I'll be glad to report on Margaritaville because I think this is going to be really nice, and it's really new, like, because I think it opened, I mean, it may have opened 2017 or 2018, but you're talking, it hasn't been open like a full 2 years of normal life. So it's still going to feel like brand spanking new. So
that's so exciting.
I'm excited to see it.
I'm glad y'all are going. That'll be fun.
Trip reports coming soon. It's going to be great.
All right. Awesome.
Thanks. This is fun every week. I love it.
Oh, thanks. You too. See ya.
Later.